5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Boom shakalaka, mother huggers. So, today on Tangents, we are talking about pornography. I'm Dane.
I'm Jared.
Yeah, and today, we're going to be just sharing some of our insights, experiences about pornography and how it's affected us, and just a couple of opinions and whatnot, because there's a variety of opinions when it comes to pornography. Like, some people are all for it, some people are all against it, some sit on the fence, and so we're just gonna have a little adventure down this pornographic space.
Yes, and hopefully you guys could learn from it. Maybe we could open up some conversations that should have been spoken about earlier and have not been spoken about. But at the end of the day, pornography is real, and it means a lot to myself and Dane. We're looking forward to talking about it with you guys.
Means a lot.
It doesn't mean it means
the topic of it.
I think it's a big topic for us. I mean, we've been putting it off, but that's the reason why probably we've been putting it off, because it's so personal, So let's just see where this ends up, Hopefully, some eyes can be opened.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, I'm going to try and be as honest as possible.
Likewise,
I think in general, people should be as honest as possible, or tell the truth, at least don't lie. So just hopefully somebody out there could get something out of this.
Yeah. So to kick us off, I just thought it would be a good idea to maybe, if we both mention like early days of pornography, like when it first affected us, when we first were exposed to it. I'll start. There was a time before I went to primary school, so that was about the age of 5, when I went to this kid's house. He was a friend at the time, and he whipped out a magazine from under his bed, had stolen it from his dad or something, and that was the first time I recall encountering a proper kind of adult mag. And this was pre-internet days, back in the day. Hard copies, stars on the nipples, and I recall the feeling I had then.
Lots of bush.
Oh yeah, tons of bush. I recall the feeling I had at the time was I was very I was interested, because this was like a new thing to me, and it made me feel funny. It got the juices flowing and whatnot. But there was also a feeling of like, I don't want to get into trouble, because it felt wrong in a way. Or I knew it was something.
Naughty.
Yeah, I knew it was something that I could get into trouble from, like from my parents or other adults or whatever. That was my like first exposure to it. And it was only 5 years later, probably about the age of 10 or so, that I first kind of experienced masturbation, and it was
masturbation.
It was to a
wanking
Cosmopolitan magazine. So it was
fucking Politan magazine.
A magazine for women about fashion and sex tips and whatever Cosmo's about. And there was some shoot for like bathing suits or something, and in the one photo the chick was topless, and this just blew my mind. And I recall rubbing one out, and nothing coming out because I was too young to produce sperm. And I experienced my first orgasm to Cosmopolitan magazine, some titties. And obviously it wasn't like considered an adult mag. There was no stars on the nipples. It was just two nipples staring at me in the face, clear as day. And
God, there's something about nipples that just I mean, we have them too, but
it's different though. It's very different.
It's like thank you for sharing that with us, Dane.
Sure.
if I may, I'd like to share one of my first experiences with pornography.
Please do.
And, it was like a spider sense. All of a sudden, I just get this kind of reaction within my body.
Yeah.
And it was like a pointing, just pointed towards where the porn would be.
Yeah.
I was like a sniffer dog, like a bloodhound.
Was this like pre having exposed yourself to it before, or was this like you already kind of knew?
This was all out of the blue.
Yeah.
This was out of the blue. I had never known about pornography. This just all kind of happened. It must have been when I just come of age, where I realized, or my penis realized, that it was alive, and talking about pre-internet, so not as easy as today, whereas you type in P on your smartphone and Pornhub comes up and all you kids are having the time of your lives. We had to go out and look for that shit. So I'd put on my hiking shoes and my sun protection, and I'd get into those areas, the bush, and just go for a hike, and you'd find porn.
You would,
You'd have to avoid your local homeless population. I think maybe some of the porn would come from them, but I'm sure there were like some suburban dads who'd sneak out into like the bush and have a quick wank, and then leave their porn there. And like at the time, I'd find the porn and it would be like a treasure.
Yeah.
And the pages would be stuck together, and I'd only find out later why, but at the time it didn't bother me at all. And I felt whole at that point. I felt that I had completed the journny.
Accomplished.
Because it wasn't just me. It wasn't just my mind, my being. It was my whole body. It was my biology that was getting me out there into the bush under the midday sun to hunt around in the unknown for scraps of porn.
Totally.
And I wondered to myself, is it like that with girls? Do girls have that much of a strong kind of emotion or drive to get them out?
Yeah, like
doors,
that natural urge.
Like natural urge pre-internet, searching for porn in like a park or like I don't know, like the back of like a cricket field or something.
Yeah, totally.
I'm not sure, but I agree. They, chicks can get horny too. They fucking they get horny and they love that shit too. But I don't know if they have that kind of drive to just. Although I might be wrong. I need to speak to some girls about this. Maybe they're also traipsing around the bush looking for porn. I'm not sure.
I think there's some girls that are like somehow wired in that way, but I think the majority of the time it's a male thing. It's just like a kind of natural thing that males are visually stimulated and they want to see some naked skin. That's what gets us like up. Gets us keen. And I think with females, it's more like the emotional connection and touch and stuff like that. Like, granted, males experience that too, but like the visual stimulation is a huge thing for males. That's like, as a male, having a penis, like that makes your penis excitable, So yeah, like there could be some females that experience that, but the majority it's definitely a male thing.
Please, for sure, but please feel free to comment or let us know if you have an opinion that's different to ours, because we're open for that. Let me slap a big fat disclaimer on this, mother hugger. We don't know what we're talking about. Don't listen to us, but listen to us. Don't listen to us, but listen to us.
Indeed.
Kind of thing.
Yeah.
And this is a quagmire. This is murky waters. We don't want to offend the beautiful female race out there. We love them, and we want to do them good. We don't want to be sexist. But I think it's important that they know this is just us though. Like, we're trying to be honest with you girls. We're talking to you girls right now. This is what drives us, as guys. Talking about pornography. Dane, let me ask you this, my friend.
Yeah.
When you frequent pornography sites, what genre are you looking at?
I generally keep it pretty above board, very clean. I don't venture into any of the dark places that exist. I'm talking.
So many dark places.
Yeah, there's a lot of crazy shit out there. When I do, like, currently, to be honest, I have not looked at prawn for some time. It's been
well done.
Yeah, it's been probably about a month and a half or so. For personal reasons.
Use your imagination. It's better.
Yeah. There's a lot of imagination to go around, But yeah, to answer your question, I keep it generally clean. Maybe when I've dabbled, I've looked at some exotic things, just to see what else is what other types of females are out there, different demographics and whatnot. Yeah.
You mean black girls?
I mean black girls. I mean Latin girls. I mean, anything that's a bit different to the norm, as far as appearance goes. With it being like a visual thing, like, I don't know, like a bit of variety, a bit of chocolate here, a bit of caramel there, a bit of vanilla there. Yeah. So, but I do keep it very, as I said, very clean. Either solo stuff or one dude and one chick, and then you can like imagine yourself being involved in that in some way, Yeah,
for sure. But that's the whole thing about it, is that it's like a voyeuristic kind of thing.
Yeah.
You're putting yourself in another person's shoes, and there's a lot of fantasy involved. And this is the danger within porn. But we'll get to this.
Yeah.
I'll put it out there, just so we're on an equal plane. I like amateur porn or webcam porn.
Okay.
So I tend to shy away from professionals.
Yeah, likewise, actually.
I'm not sure why. It seems
maybe it's the more real thing,
a little bit
like more believable.
Yeah, for me, it's also the fact that if it's a professional, it's like work.
Yeah.
Whereas I definitely get a kick out of amateur content where the emotions or the pleasure is 100%, or as far as I can decipher, is 100% real. Whereas, of course, with a professional, there's a certain amount of, I'm just going through the motions kind of thing. But I just wanted to mention that, and at the same time also congratulate you once again on your abstinence from porn.
Thanks.
And I think it's a good thing. I think people need to use their imagination more and get into maybe some literary kind of literature.
Yeah,
it's a big thing. Also read up about it. But talking about the dangers of porn, because you mentioned some dark spaces, and there are so many. So every time, that would be another reason why I would, choose not to go on a pornographic site to enjoy pornography. Maybe use my imagination or read literature, like I said, or maybe hentai and stuff like that. That's also quite cool. is this whole dark space? It's like, because we want to make sure that females are treated with respect and also males. But I think in this specific business of pornography, I think there, as far as I can tell, there seems to be a certain prevalence of I would say domination or abuse of power from a male perspective onto a female perspective. But in the same sentence, I would just mention that there's a lot of girls out there that, they're doing it because they enjoy it and they make money from it and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
But all the dark spaces out there, it gets very primal, so it comes back to man and woman. So man being physically more powerful than a woman, just from the biology here, and that kind of portrays itself amongst these dark spaces on the web. But bear that in mind, every time you're searching porn, just please bear in mind that those are real people with real feelings, and it's also a complete fantasy. That's not reality, So, like, if you're a young person, like we mentioned before, that a lot of young people have smartphones these days, which means they have access to pornography. They might, misunderstand what is real and what is fake. So treat everybody with respect and treat everybody as a human being, especially when it comes to being intimate, I would say.
Yeah, just regarding that, I think there's a lot of, there obviously, there will be people who are like keen to, like porn actresses or whatever, keen to be involved in it because they enjoy it. But I think there is a larger amount of females being exploited in the pornographic industry, whether that be them being duped into doing something that they not necessarily wanted to do, or because they are desperate for money. It definitely exists, that exploitation exists, and for me that's like a huge negative side of it. And porn is like 95% for males. Like we can say that. That's probably, or I don't know if it's the specific correct stat, but like it is, the vast majority is for males. So with that in mind, I think it does exist in like a negative space where it's objectifying women and kind of giving men a distorted view of what women want and how sex with a woman should be. I think that's there's a definite distortion there of like the reality of the requirements to have like some good sexy times with a woman. I just wanted to mention that.
For sure. I agree with you, and people need to take care, when they're out there on the internet with regards to pornography, because it might give you a false understanding of females or males or whatever. But maybe get some erotic literature. Read instead of watching Pornhub, because there are no actual people involved, and you have no danger of hurting people's feelings or being a part of somebody else's exploitation. But hold on, what is up with? But hold on, let's just deflect it to chat roulette. I don't know if do you know what chat roulette is?
Yeah, where you end up chatting to a random person that you've never met before. Is that correct?
Yeah, but there's also a lot of wanking involved.
Okay.
So you'll go on there, and I mean, I've been on it before, but I haven't been on it in years. But what I gather is it's a site that it's like you're live streaming, so you're looking at other people live, and people get off on that. But I have no idea where I'm going with this.
just with that thought, don't you think it could be a little bit like, what's the word, like predatory or invasive as well? Like if you're on chat roulette as you're like a young female or something, and you're like, I want to do this thing so I can chat to someone overseas or whatever, and then suddenly there's your page loads and there's a dude whacking off, you know, not his face, you just see a dick being masturbated.
Maybe some chicks are into that.
Yeah, maybe some chicks are into that, but like we're talking about probably like 5% or less would be.
But this is
seeking
exactly
that.
what I'm talking about. This is exactly what I'm talking about. What's the percentage of chicks that would like to see a dick, you know, be surprised by a image of an erect penis,
Yeah.
opposed to how many percentage of chicks that would take offense of that? Because I'm sure there's a lot. We're talking about heterosexual girls, so let's keep that in consideration. But surely, correct me if I'm wrong, there must be some kind of curiosity involved in the member of the opposite sex if you're a female, and especially, you know, with the penis, because it's such a, you know, with the vagina, it's like, it's beautiful, but it's, if you had to just turn your body at a slight angle, you wouldn't see it anymore. Whereas with the penis, you'd have to like basically 100, you know, you'd have to turn around
Yeah.
completely for them not to see it, because you could turn around at an angle and you'd still see the penis if it was erect. You know what I'm saying is that I'm sure just for a lot of girls that they're interested in looking at it and seeing it, and you know, they're probably attracted to it too.
Do you like, just with regarding males and females, like take a male and a female, they're in a committed relationship together, and
They love each other.
yeah, they love each other and they have like good, healthy sexual experiences together. Do you think like that, like, okay, with a male, just with the way males are wired, they could actively go out and seek different vaginas to look at, or titties or whatever, so that they can get themselves off in alone, you know? On the other hand, like the females, generally speaking, most of the time aren't interested in seeking out, let me go find some cocks to look at, you know, and like get off on that. Like, to me, that's near non-existent, you know. And with that in mind, because of like the misunderstanding between males and females, due to the fact that they have different kind of chemicals driving them or whatever, a female might see that as being the male kind of cheating on them in a way. Okay, so it's not cheating because it's not you and another live person in front of you and you're touching each other and stuff. There's no like physical or emotional connection there, but there is still the fact that you're looking at the body of someone who isn't your significant other, and you're getting off on that, and the female most likely would not be doing that, like looking for other penises and being like, oh, that's a good penis, let me watch this one till the end or whatever, you know.
I'm with you with 100% on this, because what you're saying is that there is a difference between female and male regarding visual stimuli.
Yeah.
Yes, I agree with you. Take, for example, you walking hand in hand with your loved one. You're married, you're 30 years into a beautiful marriage, you love her with all your heart and mind. You're walking down the road, you're going for a shop or whatever. There comes a young lady towards you wearing hot pants, and she walks past you, and you know just by the cut of the hot pants on the front that it's gonna be pushing up at the back, you know.
Yeah.
And that kind of that just like, excites you so much that you actually turn your head to take in the visual of her behind, you know, and take that it's because it's beautiful, you know, and it's like you said, we're talking about being wired about it, you know, so you take it in and you enjoy it and you give it a good look, and then your loved one, she's looking at you aghast, mouth agape, and she's like, you know, how could you do this?
Yeah.
And she slaps you for your face. You know, it's just run wild, you know, with our imaginations. Yeah. And you're like, oh, sorry, I wasn't even thinking. But that's the thing. You're not even thinking because females and males are different. I know what you're saying. But is it this black and white? You know, because I think, fair enough, in this particular example, let's flip it a little bit and say there's a dude that walks past, you know, and he's wearing hot pants. Right? Yeah. And he's ripped. He's got a six-pack. He's got a midriff kind of top on. His six-pack's exposed, and he's like fucking just pulsating with fucking testosterone, you know? Yeah. Are you saying to me that the chick, the love of your life for 30 years, your wife, is not going to turn her head and take a look at his fucking ass?
Yeah, no, I'm not saying that won't happen. Yeah, but yeah,
but I understand what you're saying. They are wired differently, but I'm just saying that perhaps there are grey areas. Yeah. where women, you know, maybe they don't want to let's say admit that they also function a little bit on these levels, whereas a man, he's not ashamed of, or he actually is not even aware of that he should be ashamed of that kind of behavior, you know, because it's just so instinctive for him. Whereas a woman, they are more intuitive than we are, you know. So perhaps that thinking, before they turn their head, they will think about it first, you know, and they won't because of that.
So do you think? Do you think as males we should be more conscious of that and like make an effort not to do that if we feel it might, or maybe it's just down to like personal, like however your relationship works or whatever, but like if your significant other has a problem with that, then it's probably better not to entertain that, you know.
For sure, because you're stronger than that, you know. And that's the thing with that. That's what's so easy these days about porn, because you have your lower brain and your higher brain. And my lower brain wants chocolate, it wants fatty food, and it wants porn. Yeah. But my higher brain needs to figure out what exactly is like good for me. So for sure, there'll be occasions where I'll pig out and have like a chocolate and just enjoy it, or like follow it off with a slice of cheesecake and then go to McDonald's and have like a Big Mac. But I'll be aware of the fact that it's not good for me, really, you know. So if talking about your example, if I was in a particular situation where I knew before I went out on the street, obviously knowing my wife for 30 years, the love of my life, that she has some kind of issue with me watching other girls. And I knew about that. I wouldn't turn my head, you know, because hopefully I wouldn't, because I'd be aware of that. But it's difficult because it's like a wired kind of thing. So maybe sometimes you don't think about it, but there might be an occasion where your chick would get off on you watching other chicks. Yeah. So this is the thing. It's like every chick is different. Every chick is a princess. Every chick is a universe. Yeah. Sorry, that's derogatory.
No, it's just our casual slang of females. That's how we. Yeah.
Have we popped a disclaimer on this motherfucker yet?
I don't know. Pop on.
Let me just do that quickly. Yeah. Look here. This is a disclaimer. We don't know what we're talking about. Don't listen to us, don't listen to us. We're not professionals. We don't mean to cause offense. This is just us talking about certain things. So every chick, having said chick, maybe I should not say chick.
No, say chick, it's cool.
Keep say chick. Yeah. Maybe I could say...
Yeah, dudes and chicks, man. Yeah.
I could say bird. No.
Nah.
I could say
What comes naturally, Jared?
woman,
Yeah.
lady. Yeah, chick came naturally.
Chick, yeah.
And I mean that with all respect.
Yeah. Yeah.
But listen to me. No, like there are deeper things here involved.
Deep things at play.
There are deeper things at play, and let's try and bring them to the surface, because I'll be honest with you, girls and chicks, yeah, they're heterosexual, regardless of if they're homosexual or bisexual or whatever, they have sexual needs, and they want these needs to be fulfilled. But in my experience, if I'm going to be completely honest with you, which I did mention in the beginning that I would be, I found it on some occasions easier to satisfy my needs, my sexual needs, which men have, by observing pornographic material, as opposed to taking the time to satisfy my universe, my queen, you know, which I find completely crazy. But because on the one hand, if you're gonna jerk off to pornographic material, I think we're not 21 anymore.
Yeah.
You're not gonna have as much virility or energy.
That is a thing
to satisfy the needs of your queen.
Yeah.
So this is another thing of pornography, where you'd say to yourself, hold on, like, I know it's so easily accessible, but I think these days, not only with porn, it's also with food and stuff like that, because all the bad shit is so easily accessible.
Yeah,
It's wherever you go. One has to one has to really one has to learn to have discipline, really, because if you keep on just satisfying your lower brain, I think you might end up worse off, because it's that instant gratification that I'm talking about, that everybody, these days, we want that instant gratification, and I think if you look at it long and hard, you might realize that that's actually not the best path.
Yeah, for sure. There's also the argument that like pornography it can be an addiction. Like, it can be as bad as like cigarettes or alcohol for some people, or it's like a drug. It's easily accessible, but there definitely is, like, I don't know, like when I was growing up, like when I was in high school, I can recall having conversations with people, and just it being mentioned that, like, there's that feeling of shame, like guilt, after you've finished jacking off, to some porn. And it's like Louis C.K. even spoke about this, like the shame and the guilt, and like, you're so like filthy afterwards and everything. It's definitely a feeling that's there, and like I'm not totally sure where that comes from. Like, maybe it is like quite a shallow thing, like the whole masturbating to porn thing. Maybe that's like a very empty thing. And like I was reading some articles earlier today just about porn, and some studies that have been done and whatnot, and like it can be quite a detrimental thing to one's like psyche, and one's like it can increase feelings of depression and loneliness and stuff, when like pornography and masturbating to pornography is your sexual outlet. Like, if you're not getting with anyone, then it can be like a very kind of self-loathing kind of feeling that comes out of it.
Crazy, because at this, you're getting a good feeling out of it, because you're coming and that feels good, but it's an instant, You know, it's like a finger snap
Yeah.
of pleasure.
Yeah, and maybe
Which-
that gives you like a false idea of how it should be. And then, like you said about it's easier than taking the time to service your queen. With like when you're thinking about it that way,
Which you should be wanting to do anyway.
Yeah.
Which you should also be getting a lot of enjoyment out of. You know.
for sure, yeah, because that's like a whole different journey in itself compared to the kind of selfish path of masturbation. Almost getting selfless when you're servicing your queen. It's like it's about you, but it's about them more, you know, and it's about like how you
Yes,
respond to them and they
absolutely.
respond to you, and it's like this magical adventure that you both go on, you know, like as opposed to like, let me knock one out so that I can get this feeling, that the dopamine or whatever, the chemicals, and then I'm like, there we go, done. Like, yeah, it's two completely different things,
Yeah.
really.
It is, and it's you know, on the one hand you have long-term positive, pleasurable feelings that kind of like last for quite some time, and only have the potential to kind of like get better, you know. And then on the other side, you just have like this shallow kind of like release of dopamine or serotonin or whatever, and then it's gone. And then, but you know, we're talking about porn, but we could very well also be talking about sugar or gambling or whatever. Interesting though about Louis C.K. You mentioned him, because his whole thing was that now I'm trying to figure out why he would do this. Maybe you could help me, but he would masturbate he had asked ladies to watch him masturbate, right?
Yeah,
Is that it?
I think it's that, and maybe
Like he would masturbate in front of them.
and maybe sometimes there was a bit of a grey area as to whether they had fully agreed to it or not. Yeah, that's how I understand it.
Because that's interesting, because that's like, oh man, this whole masturbation thing, you know, like, you know, I'm completely on the other side as far as, you know, like conservatives are concerned, you know, when they say masturbating is the devil.
Yeah.
You know, I'm like on the other side. I'm like, man, if my kid was 15 years old and he left the house and he had just been on the laptop, you know, and I found a kind of a history there of like some porn. The question is, how would I like treat that, you know?
Yeah.
So I know I can imagine, first of all, just out of my interest, how would you treat it, Dane?
Yeah, it's, I don't know, I haven't really thought about that, but like, I would say personally, it's like my personal view on masturbation is like people must do it, you know, like if you want to do that with your body, it's your penis, it's your vagina, you do what you want, you know. I don't really see any negatives to masturbation. Like if you want to do it, then do it, you know. But I think pornography can be like quite a negative part of it. Like I think just psychologically it messes with people a little bit. And I mean, I'm talking about has the potential to, yeah. And like that's like from personal experience and from chatting to other people and to like seeing what different people's views are online about it and stuff like that. So like I've watched a few YouTube videos about it, and like it doesn't seem like it's the most savory thing to do. But yeah, if my 15-year-old kid in this instance that you mentioned, like left the house and I found that they'd been checking out some porn or something, I think that's just opens I'd try open communication with it and just like chat about it and see what the vibe is, you know. Just try have a conversation about it. And I think then I'd pursue it more because this is like my child, you know. I don't want them to go down like a negative dark path, so I would want it to be wholesome, like if porn can be wholesome in some way. But I don't know, like the jury's still out for me on that one, if there is like healthy porn habits, you know. Yeah, but I definitely do more research and just find out for sure. But like so far, like I mentioned, I read some articles today. The one was like top 5 researched negative effects of pornography, and like there's some pretty negative things, like results that have come out of studies that they've done about like how it creates like hostile sexism and more prone to like affairs and stuff like that. And just like people's view on sex in general can be, as we mentioned earlier, like greatly distorted by it. Another thing they mentioned, I had the page open here, they're saying just in brain function, like there's research showing that pornography users have more difficulty with attention and their working memory. But it doesn't only occur like while they're watching porn, but like throughout the day afterwards. And they actually mentioned that, but that might be like not only porn, but also like masturbation, just the fact that you're spent afterwards, you know, like you feel a little bit sleepy.
Like a hangover kind of.
Yeah, I mean, like, don't footballers, before they have a big game, they don't have sex the night before even, because it like detracts from your kind of physical and creative mind, or but that's another conversation.
Yeah, like interesting you said. Yeah, completely, because if you're talking about mindfulness and kind of meditation and that whole vibe, you know, because you're releasing energy when you come, and fair enough, if it's energy that's been released with your loved one and you and your loved one are having the greatest of times, then it's probably very beneficial. But if it's not like that, then perhaps that energy could be best spent somewhere else, you know. So I get that, and I can also imagine that people through too much porn would, you know, kind of look at women or men, if you're a female, as objects, whereas that's not what they are, you know. So I definitely agree with you, or agree with those studies. But that's crazy though, because it's so easy, you know. It's just so easy to go and get some porn in your life. Like
I think that ease of access makes it seem like the norm. Because it's so easily accessible, like it seems normal, and we don't regard it as being like this big thing. Whereas in the past, it was only like a few random dads that like had a porn stash, or, you know, like it wasn't like every household a dad would have a porn stash. But these days it's so easily accessible that like you never know, like anyone could just be incognitoing porn. And I'm not saying that's like a positive or a negative thing. I'm just saying it's very different these days.
I would hope that they would include pornography in like sex ed at school, like they'd have a piece on it, you know, like guys, like take care, you know, be aware of this and that with regards to pornography, because it can be unhealthy, you know. But
just mention the pitfalls and like allow kind of people to be informed from an early age of like the potential negative effects that it could have. It's weird, sorry to butt in there again, but like it's kind of weird how
butts, I like butts too.
For me personally, I've had situations in the past where I've like had a chat with a partner about porn, and I've been defensive about it. I've been like what's the big deal, you know? Like if my partner had a problem with it, I'd be like that's kind of your problem, like it's not my problem. But then when like thinking about it a bit, it's like the potential for it to be seen as like taking away from the kind of wholesomeness of a relationship, that is like a potential risk there, because of the way that it makes you like see women differently. It'll make you see your partner differently, and like it might be such a subtle psychological thing that we don't see it as a problem, because, as I said before, it's just like normal, you know. So it's like, how can something that's normal be an issue? So, like, get over it or whatever, you know. But like, there is like very big potential for it to be like a damning thing in a relationship, but that is like a subjective thing. It depends on the people, or it depends on both parties, and it depends on whether someone cares enough about the other to say yes or no, I'm going to do this or I'm not going to do this, you know. And I'm not talking about masturbation. For me, masturbation is, you know, that's between you and your genitals, and yeah, it's for you alone. But like, yeah, just as far as pornography goes, it seems like there could be like a very detrimental thing going on in the user's mind.
Fair enough, and you know, one has to assume that when you speaking to other people, like we are speaking to each other right now, and whether it's your loved one or your partners or whatever, I think it's best to assume that whatever that person says, you need to be open towards it, so you could perhaps learn from what they're saying. So even though your first instinct would be to completely ignore or discard as what they're saying as not worthy of thought, one might find that if one takes the time to think about what the person is saying, is really analyze what they're saying and kind of put some thought into it, that you might learn quite a lot if you took that kind of like path in life where you just you assume that you could learn from what other people say, whereas a lot of people have this, you know, this wall put up straight away, very sensitive to not only, most of the time it's not even criticism, it's just a different opinion, you know.
It's be open to a different perspective, take it on board and think about it.
I think what I hope what people would get out of this podcast is that, like, if they could get anything out of all the podcasts that we do, it would just be that kind of like, you know, bear in mind kind of what people say. Obviously one knows what's right and what's wrong, and you really need to fight for that. And if you believe something is wrong, you should say something is wrong, and fight for it. But after thought, you know, put in the thought first and then react. I would say. And then of course pornography can be detrimental to a relationship, but it's probably saved a lot of relationships out there too, where guys have been like, okay, cool, let's film each other fucking and put it online, and we get our kicks that way, you know, and everybody wins kind of thing, you know. So it's one of those things, you know, it's a double-edged sword, so bear that in mind, you know. But it's a hell of a subject.
I'd say if there was any kind of like advice or something that we'd be trying to push, it would be to like educate yourself. Like, if you think something could potentially be a problem, then address it in that way, and just find out more about the subject. Like, if you of the opinion that everything's hunky-dory, everything's fine, and relationships are going fine because of it, then sweet, like, no problem. But if there is the potential for someone to get hurt out of like a situation, then like take the other person's view and like go research it for yourself a bit, and like just find out why someone might have
take
it. Take the time to have like an open mind about varying perspectives, and
like, I think we've covered quite a lot with regards to this subject, and if I mean, I can't think of anything more I'd like to say about it. But if you have any thoughts, please feel free to add your thoughts on this subject, Dane. But I'd like to take this opportunity to thank the 11 subscribers that we have on YouTube. The magnificent 11. This is for you.
Yeah.
This podcast is for you, man. If this helped you in any way, please share this podcast. Maybe write a comment. I think people are kind of averse to writing comments, maybe, like, but once they get going, I think it's a good kind of like format to
nice
just
forum.
spread opinion.
Yeah.
To get the opinions out there, and I hope that'll be the case on this one.
I just want to go back to just the whole sniffing out porn days in the bushes. Like there was some very interesting times then. Like sometimes it would just like catch you unawares. Like I remember the one time I was walking home from school with a mate, and there was like a building site or something, and for some reason we were just drawn to like a little trench that had been dug there. I have no idea why. And we looked in this trench, and there was a perfectly no pages stuck together, just a perfectly like pristine porn mag right there. And I remember that
Manna
day
from heaven.
Yeah, it was amazing. Like being like 15, 16 or whatever we were. Yeah, it was just an incredible find, a great treasure. Also, I used to have a bunch of like loose pages that I found somewhere, like back in the day, and I was I was afraid of someone else finding my stash. So what I actually did was I got a big glass jar and I stuffed these pages into a jar and I buried it like treasure near my house. I buried it in the ground, man.
Wow, like a squirrel.
Like totally, just popping some nuts away for winter. Yeah. Also, like before I got onto actual porn, just while I'm being open and honest here, I used to collect. Now this was like primary school vibes, like maybe standard 4 or something, grade 6. I used to collect. I had like a little file of like, I think it was like a kind of like an old school case or something, that I'd have cutouts of like, adverts from magazines that like there was a pretty girl in it or something. And it sounds kind of weird now that I say it, like Dexter-y, like a bit like creepy. But I don't know, that was me at the time, That's just something I did. I had like a little stash, and like sometimes I'd open that case and just page through and have a look at my treasures.
As you do.
Yeah.
These days it's different though. You just pop it on the interwebs and there you go.
Yeah.
Porn.
Totally.
Or the dark net, God forbid.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of different facets to porn, There's definitely like your clean cut, short back and sides, maybe spectacles, like good, honest working man's porn. And then you get some dark shit, and then you get some stuff that's like just illegal, straight out illegal. Like, so there's definitely different facets at play, and you can't, like, I feel that you can't hoard them all into the same category and say that's all bad, it's all negative. Like, I feel that there's a bit of a sliding scale going on there. I don't know. What do you think about that?
No, for sure. I mean, there's apples and oranges also in the porn game, and illegal shit is not cool, and nobody likes a kiddie fiddler.
Yeah.
But if we're going to be talking about porn, then we've got to mention the really bad stuff. So I don't agree with that at all. And I think if you are a person who's into that, then you need to seek some kind of help and just maybe Google, I have a kiddie porn problem, I need help, and hopefully you'll get some advice. But for all you normal porn guys out there, that's what this podcast is about, really, for more of the normal guys. I think the darker people, not darker people, but the darker orientated porn watchers need professional help, which we aren't professionals. So, but hopefully we can help just the normal average Joe, with what we've said tonight. So hopefully that works.
Yeah, man. Cool. This has been enlightening, and yeah, it's been good.
Yeah, I've enjoyed it. I've
Yeah.
enjoyed talking about this subject, and I hope you guys have too. We're going to wrap it up. Next week, we'll be talking about something also really cool. We don't know what yet, but it's going to be awesome, and we're going to have a lot of time talking to you guys about it. A lot of fun talking to you guys about it. And yeah, take care until then.
Yeah, careful on the roads. Bye.
Cheers. Bye.